Hello, my friend. Stay a while and listen.
Alright, I've got an update here on the Elemental Druid build in hardcore mode on Diablo 2 Resurrected. It's going really well. I've never really leveled up with a Fire Druid before because when I played when I was younger, it was before they added the ability to respec. So back when I played, if you wanted to do an Elemental Druid, the Windy Druid build was the strongest, so you just had to level very slowly and save all your skill points to put into the Tornado and Hurricane and Twister spells later down in the tree. But so far with the Fire build, this was probably one of the easiest Andariel kills I've done that I can remember. She really didn't do any damage to me, and I probably could have just face tanked her and killed her in a couple seconds, but I was being really cautious with it being hardcore. A lot of times in hardcore you can just die to Andariel or Duriel if you're overly confident. So just the updates here. After I got to Act 2, I stopped and farmed Countess for about 20 or 30 minutes. And that was all it took to get the runes I needed to make Leaf and Stealth. So I had those, I think I was level 16, and I was able to get the socketed items from the shop pretty easily for 500 gold for the 2-socketed staff and like 2,000 gold for the 2-socketed leather armor. So I had those at level 16, and then after I leveled, I think, to 17, I could use the armor, and 19, I got the, was able to start using the staff. Once I got the staff up, my damage has gone through the roof. So I'm, killing everything on the screen in one cast, and the mana return on kill pretty much fully recovers the mana that I had to use to cast the spell. Aside from that, another neat little trick once you get the Act 2 Mercenary, there is a recipe for the cube, crafting recipe. You can make a Savage Pole Arm, and you can get all of the materials from the Act 2 merchants very easily. You just need any staff, any Kris, which is a dagger, you'll see here on the screen, a belt, the item belt, not just any belt, but specifically the belt item, and a chipped, or any type of diamond, and then you can make this pole arm. And as you'll see here, the first one I made was not very good, pretty average. It may be a little better than some of the items you can get at that level, but a lot of the times you'll find a comparable rare or unique, potentially, or even a magic item that could be on par with it. The second one I crafted, however, it gave me an exceptional base item, which means it's like the tier 2 of that weapon. Normally you don't see those until Act 4, Act 5. You start to see a few of them, but mostly you don't really start to see a lot of them until Nightmare, and then that's going to be mostly what drops. And as you can see on here, the damage, even though it's just a magic item with one prefix, the damage is significantly higher than really anything you're going to have access to otherwise. So once I get the Mercenary to level 25, I'll just need to get, I think, I checked, about 10 extra strength for him. So I could easily just throw some gems in a helmet, and a 2 or 3 socketed helmet, and get him 10 strength, and he'll be able to use this. And that alone could carry me through the rest of normal very easily without me really doing anything. And so just you know, that crafting recipe you can do, pretty much the only limiting factor will be how many diamonds you have. So I would do that as many times as you are able to until you get a decent one. I went with the armor aura mercenary just because it's hardcore and any extra survivability you can get is good. Also, having a tankier mercenary is going to help me a lot more than the normal mercenaries' auras are pretty lackluster. So that's kind of the best one you can get anyways in Act 1. And so as far as the skills go, I've mostly been using Firestorm, and also I've been using the oh my gosh, what's it called? The one that burns under their feet, and can't believe I'm forgetting the name of it. But anyways, I haven't gotten to the level where I can use Volcano yet. And Molten Boulder is kind of lackluster, and it doesn't synergize with Armageddon, which I'm planning on using Armageddon just because it's a really cool spell, and I haven't gotten to use it that much in my playthroughs as a kid, just because only having fire damage was not really feasible for in-game builds previously, so you didn't have the option to respec before. So I wanted to use that, and then also with leveling Firestorm, it increases the duration. So having Firestorm and Fisher, that's the name of the skill. Sorry, I couldn't remember it before. Those synergize with Armageddon, and so those are the ones I've been putting all my points into. I don't think I'm going to put any points into Volcano really. Once I get to around level 50-ish, I'm planning on respecking into the Windy Druid build. Once I get through Act 4, I'll make another update after I gear out at that point, just to help you guys out. If you have any, if you're wanting some tricks, for this, I'll break down some of the stuff. But it's going really well, especially in hardcore. Sometimes it can be a challenge. I've just been playing solo self-found so far, so if you have any desire to do that, this build's totally viable and really strong for that. And with Firestorm, one of the things I've noticed is it's very, very good for casting it and then kiting the enemy, because after you cast it, they just run through it, and as you're running away, they pretty much die, or you can just recast it and run back. So anytime I'm fighting an enemy that pretty much all of them I don't want to face tank, so I turn around and kite them, and it does a lot of damage because the tooltip DPS, you actually need to multiply that by 2 or 3 because they can get hit by each of the little fire fire waves that go out. So they have to be a larger enemy to be able to get hit by all 3, but pretty much every act boss and most of the other bosses in the game are big enough that they're going to get hit by all 3. So you multiply that tooltip damage by 3, and that's how much DPS you're doing. Plus, I think it might be able to hit them multiple times. I'm not 100% sure on that, but it really just melts pretty much everything instantly that it hits. And with Fisher, if there's a group of enemies stacked up, it pretty much just kills everything that is on the screen. So that's also really good, and you can also kite with Fisher. So I'm having a lot of fun playing, and in here you can kind of see in the harem. I wanted to check because I'd heard, and this isn't really for the build guide, but just on a side note, people kept saying that they had taken out the dead harem girls from the harem, just, you know, because of censorship. And so I wanted to find out for myself. So I was going through and switching back and forth between the original and the new one. I found several dead harem girls. Like, you can see them in their bras. A lot of them, their legs were torn off, or their torsos were torn off, or, you know, it was pretty gruesome. Like, their bodies were just torn and shredded in pieces, and blood and gore everywhere. So I don't know if maybe they took that out in the beta for some reason. Maybe because the beta didn't have a rating or something. I'm not really sure what the, you know, if they were in the beta or not, because I just ran through the harem without really paying attention. So it's definitely there now in the game. There's definitely, you know, I didn't search every room, but just in kind of wandering around looking, I found, you know, half a dozen or so. So there may be more. I'm not really sure. There probably are more. But yeah, just I don't like censorship in games or in stuff like that at all, period. So if they had done that, I was going to be pretty disappointed. So I don't know if they changed it based off feedback, which would be good, or if it just wasn't in the beta and that's where people noticed it, or if it was just a rumor. But anyway, that there definitely are dead harem girls, and they were definitely torn apart by demons. So it's pretty gruesome. It's, you know, exactly how it should be. So that was good. But yeah, so once you get your stealth rune word and your leaf rune word, you're gonna be cruising pretty easily all the way through Act 4. After Act 4, I'm gonna farm cows to get a couple more runes so that I can make, and then also so I can get a one-handed broadsword from cows so that I can make it 4-socketed and get the spirit rune word. I may also, if I can find a decent 2-socketed druid helm with, you know, good bonuses, I might make the lore rune word if I am able to. But yeah, that's my plan. I should get there pretty quickly. I just haven't had as much time to play as I'd like. Last week or so I've been busy. But it's going smoothly. I'm really enjoying the game. It's great. You know, all the crap, you know, all the gaslighting that we had to deal with during Diablo 3, where they were telling us that Diablo 2 was just nostalgia. Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 were just nostalgia. They weren't good games. We were just looking at it through rose-tinted glasses. Yeah, that was all BS and lies. I'm having so much more fun playing Diablo 2 again in HD than I've had playing pretty much any game in the last 20 years. Really, the only thing that came close was like Demon Souls and Dark Souls, just because they also had that dark aesthetic and challenging gameplay. I have had fun in PoE, but there's just some things in PoE that can be kind of annoying as far as like the design in the game, where you can't really just get in and play like you can in Diablo and Diablo 2. You have to sit down and, you know, I don't ever play like a cookie cutter build. I come up with my own builds, and in order to do that, you have to first, you know, understand all the game mechanics, which, having played it as long as I have, you know, I've played it since it was in closed beta, I know how all the mechanics work. But if you're a new player and you don't know how the mechanics work, you're not even really going to be able to create an effective build. But even when you do know how the mechanics work, you still have to dig in and really spend a lot of time mapping out your skill tree and coming up with your build as far as items and gems go. And then you have to get all the gems and the items, and you have to link them, and then you gotta get your support gems and get the right colors, and then, you know, it takes a while to get from in a fresh league to get a 5 socket and then a 6 socket. Sometimes, you know, you can't get what you need in order for your build to work right away. It just gets kind of annoying and frustrating, and then with the leagues only lasting 3 months, it's kind of a short time, especially if you're playing in hardcore and you have like an early, if you rip like after a month and a half or so, it's like, or 2 months, you know, there's no point in even playing really until the next league starts up a couple months later, and then you have to go through it all again, and you have to learn the new league mechanics or whatever they come out with, which is just usually gimmicky crap that does the same thing that other stuff in the game already does. So alright, I went a little bit on a tangent there, but yeah, thanks for listening, thanks for watching. Hopefully these tips help you out if you're playing an elemental druid, and remember to give them the D.
This was not designed by nature's architect.